This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs. This is episode number 55, and on today's episode, I have such a treat for you. I have the very talented mixed media artist, Marina Soleil. We are talking all about what it's like to do an art show. I met her at Superfine, which is a big art exhibit that happened in San Francisco last March, and we are kind of sharing, actually mainly I asked Marina if she would share her tips on what to do before a show, during a show, and after a show. Also, anybody who's out there listening who is thinking about maybe pursuing art as a full-time career, I think Marina really offered some great advice on this episode. So grab your notebooks because it's loaded, and stay tuned for a really lovely episode with the very talented Marina Soleil. Hi, Marina. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. And we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we've got it all worked out. Fingers crossed. We'll get through all of this. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Mari. I am so happy to be here. And for me, it's my first podcast. And I've never thought to do a podcast in my life. And this is great. This is like something super special for me.
Oh, yay. That's so good. I love it. Well, I loved your art, and I'm so happy I was able to buy a piece of it. Marina and I both met at Superfine, which is an art exhibit that happens in San Francisco. And we both did it last March in 2022. And I had so much fun, and I could tell that you were having so much fun. And we're going to get into that a little bit more later in the show, because I really want to go into talking about how to prepare for a show like that, because I didn't find a lot of information when I was trying to get ready. It was my first show. So I wanted to do an episode that kind of shared little things that we learned from that experience. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about you and your history as an artist, and what brought you to the United States, because you originally are from Catalonia, correct?
Yes, correct.
So tell me, where is Catalonia? Tell me where that is in the world, and so everybody knows.
Thanks, Mari. Okay, so Catalonia is in Spain. It's located on the north side of it. And I grew up in this small city near Barcelona. And in Catalonia all itself, we speak Catalan, and we have our own traditions and our own food and culture, our art. The way we live is a little bit different. Obviously, we're in Spain, so we also speak Spanish. And so we have this duality of these two things. And but yes, my family and my friends, all of them speak Catalan, and we have like our things. So
I love that. And I'm glad that was preserved, and that you have such a pride feeling around that. Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's a very strong culture. I'm glad it continues. It's I can find so many people in US that are Catalan, so it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that. So when you were younger, did you always want to pursue art?
So when I was younger, I grew up with a family of, I have two brothers, my parents, and I have my circle of people that we always, we were involved with art. We love our artists like Joan Miró, Velázquez, Salvador Dali, Picasso, Goya, or we grew up with like going to Barcelona and going to the Sagrada Familia. And I always felt really attracted to it. And my mom is my only reference as a woman artist, because in school I never had any female artists as a reference for me. So I was thrived to it. So I didn't know it was art itself, but I wanted to do something in the creative world.
I love that. And it's true. There really wasn't a lot of representation of female artists back then, and even just till current history.
Yeah, totally.
So here we are. Here we are breaking the glass ceilings, being those female artists.
Totally, yes.
I loved how you said that you would. I was reading a little bit about your bio and how you would, your mother would make art in the attic because my studio is in the attic of my house. So when I read
Oh,
that, I thought that was kind
probably.
of funny because my daughters would always come up here and make art. And anyway, it was kind of an interesting thing that I
Yes,
read in your
it's a
bio.
beautiful space. Yeah.
So
It's
what? Go ahead.
for kids, like these kind of places are so fun. Like my mom, yes, she used to paint in the attic. And yeah, I used to sneak there and try to like do something on her paintings, and definitely was not good. And but she never said anything. It was kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really great to just like lay out supplies in front of kids and just see what they come up with. And I have so much art from my kids, and all three of them actually became artists. They're all in different fields as
Oh,
well, but
wow.
one specifically is a really amazing graphic designer. But yes, so then did you study art in college though? And you did that in Spain?
Yes. So in Spain, the education is a little bit different. So pre-university, pre my bachelor degree, I had these 2 years of preparation, and you can choose in Spain either if you want to pursue an art career or if you want to pursue math or even like literature or history. So it's kind of hard for a kid like just know what you want to do, but I had a really clear idea that I was going to my way to art. So I did these 2 years in this kind of like high school preparation, and then I went to college, and in Barcelona in this school that's called La Llotja, which actually Picasso went there. I mean, he didn't finish, but it's a really old school, and it's a school
Wow.
of, yeah, it's a school of arts and design. So you can find like a lot of like different variations in design, like the fashion design in interiorism, product, or another one I don't remember. But so yes, I went to school there and I pursue my fashion design degree.
And then what
With
did you work in Spain in fashion after you graduated?
I So yes, so I study fashion because I thought is a way to kind of mix the creative side of it and the business side. My
Hmm.
parents and my grandparents always believe that if you're an artist, you're not gonna be successful. You're not gonna make money. It's a hobby, but they love art. But it's as a business, as a profession. So that's why I wanted something in between. And I thought fashion is a really big deal there in Spain, and also it lets me be creative. So I did work in my internships there. I did my 2 years and a half of fashion designer, specifically in lingerie in Spain.
Mm, how fun. I mean, I think that would be
It
fun.
was really fun.
I think,
Yeah, it was really
art,
good.
it spans so many different types of careers. And, we don't need to lock into just one. Like you can do, like I did interiors for a long, long
Hmm.
time, but like there's so many
Yeah.
just different aspects that we can use our creative abilities. But I think that's kind of really interesting that your parents on the other side of the world were saying the same thing my parents were saying, like, don't do art, you're not going to make a living at it.
I
Oh geez.
know.
And that's changed now. Just anybody listening to this, like you can make a living as an artist. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. um so then, well, what brought you to the States?
So after like working for 2 years and a half there, I was 22. It's like I'm not gonna stay in this company doing this. I want to just do my graduate program, and I will like to like kind of like do something more to the business side of it. So I thought I know about the craft of creating art, but now I need to know what's business, because in the schools they teach you a lot of art sometimes, but they don't tell you what to do with your art. So I went to San Francisco. I decided to just escape Spain, tell my parents bye, and just say, okay, I will see you sometimes, but I'm pursuing my graduate program in San Francisco in merchandising. And I thought that was the best idea, the most interesting thing. And I stayed there. I mean, it was like 3-4 years in the end. So I graduated. I started doing some internships in more like the product development and merchandising and e-commerce part of it, because it's what makes money. And I thought, okay, I know how. I was not thinking what makes me happy. I was thinking more about what's viable, what's working for life, what's making me a living to work in this city, San Francisco, which is expensive city. And of course, I can do art at any time. That was my thought.
So where did you go? Where did you go to graduate school?
So yes, I went to Academy of Art University, which is like one of the largest
it's a fabulous school
here.
Wow.
It is. No, it is. It's fabulous. Yeah, I definitely felt like really I was very happy there because I met a lot of people, which nowadays I can say that is part of my family. I know my family is in Spain, but you choose your family too if you want. So
absolutely.
I got to know creative people, photographers, people in design too. It's great. It's great. It's the connections and networking that Academy makes you know. It's unbelievable. It's great. It's just one of the best things to go to school.
I really wanted to go to school there. It was very expensive.
I know, learn a little bit more.
That's just what a great experience. And to come to San Francisco, like one of my favorite cities in the world too.
It was a dream.
And so then you ended up staying here. And did you work in fashion after you got your, I'm assuming it was an MFA?
Yes, after my MFA. So I started doing some internships, just like 3-4 months internships. Then it got serious. And I stayed in a company, which was like a very small startup company that they were like just producing and selling like linens for home, which were designed and produced. So I was in the production side. It's like how much these textile cost, how much quantity we will produce, more this way, when we're going to launch this new line online. So which are our customers? So it was more about this side of the business instead of more about art and creating and designing, because the industry nowadays, especially in San Francisco, US, it was more about like just selling and selling and selling. And then I jumped to a bigger company, which I continued doing almost like the same thing. And I was like just the one of the teams in production. And that was my mission, make as many units as possible. This is the cheapest product, the cheapest factory fabric possible to make the best profit. So it was all about numbers, all about data, all about deadlines, all about this, nothing about fashion itself.
Well, that's kind of like that's no fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm
assuming there was some point that was there a trigger point when you just said, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to just go make art? Was it 2020?
I was like, so I started a company in 2017, 18, and I last long, but 2019, I started feeling like I'm dying inside me. This is not me. It's like, I'm doing art in the weekends, but I'm so tired. I want to like hang out with my friends too. Doing art for me was more as a task to survive myself, doing in the weekends while I was working all the week than nothing else. So I was preparing for a year. Anyone that is listening to this and wants to jump to being just a full artist, you have to prepare yourself. So what I did is convince my husband how I'm feeling, what I need, and then just to plan a little bit ahead, like a year before, 8 months. I know it's a lot of time, but you need this in order to afterwards to have enough, like, I don't know, just prepare like the rent, like things you have to pay, how much money I have in the bank, how much money I will need to survive certain months. What's my plan? Make like a business plan, but in an artist way. I know there is very uncertain. You don't know what you're going to do, but you need a plan. So I planned it. And in 2020, before everything happened, I decided just quit, say bye to my old me and say hi to my new me, Marina Soleil, the artist.
Yay! I love it.
Yes.
Okay,
And
I
it's
think
not
what you
easy.
said
It's
was
like,
really, that was a really important point that you just brought out. And I just kind of want to reiterate that to pursue
mhm,
a creative career separately, like just to be an artist, or what if you wanted, like, just like right now, I'm doing a lot of writing. What if you just want to be a writer? You have to really commit the time to creating that body of work, but you have to still be able to pay your bills. So I like the idea of what you're saying, like first set up a way where you can, if it's, you have to save money so that you have that set aside so you can give yourself those few months to really work
mhm.
on your craft. And, or do you have the side job and you're working it, doubling up 2 times a day, doing 4 hours in the morning at this and 4 hours in the morning in the afternoon on that. I think that's really important because we do have to live and we do have to pay our bills, but to really commit to a craft, it's different in the aspect of, like, some people go to the job and they get a paycheck every 2 weeks, but being an artist, it's like we have like no money coming in because we're building this entire body of work. And
Mhm.
then we have this release where we make the money back on those past prior months that we were working. So it's a
Yeah.
different mindset of making money. It's not any better or any worse. It's just a different way of thinking. And I think that's really valuable what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. Like sometimes you don't have anything and you're starving for like some months and then you have a big chunk coming. And that's how
Right.
it works sometimes. Yeah.
Right. So like that's a different way of thinking that we're not trained to think like that. We think we need to have that weekly paycheck coming in, but really it's kind of more about a delay. There's this kind of a lag time before that income comes in because you're working on releasing. But then once you get in the rhythm of that, then you know that that's the rhythm and that
Mhm.
you're seasonally, you are the brand that's releasing your art during these periods of time. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I thought that was
Yes.
I think that's kind of interesting because a lot of people live in the paycheck world where it's just so predictable, where being an entrepreneur it's a different,
Yeah.
it can also be predictable, but it's a different way of thinking. Um, anyway, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Way of living. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, you still get up and you work every day. It's just that you don't get the paycheck at the end of the week. You get it, maybe in a couple of months when you release that collection. So,
Yeah. And you have to believe in it and you have to be confident you will have it. Just like don't stress out because we need to be mentally prepared to do our work and to do the business side later. So it's good. It's good to be
yeah.
confident about
Yeah.
what you're going to get, like project a lot of good things. Mhm.
And that, I think that comes over time, and that also comes over experience and seeing, like, once you kind of get into that window of work after a year, you're like, oh, I see, I do a big bulk of my income comes in the holidays because people want to buy things. Or then, this, when this show happens in the spring is when I do a big bulk. So you kind of get in that rhythm of seeing where it all works out. And in the end, it all, everything will even out
Mhm.
for you, but it does take time to kind of figure that out. And
Mhm.
yeah, awesome. I really, really like that information. That's very helpful. So then so now you are solely just working that way. You're working as you sell your product online, and you also, well, you are in you actually have a studio space where people can come visit you, correct?
Yeah. So after like quitting my job and starting myself painting every day or try, like something takes months to just kind of unwind from your old job to your new adventure that you don't know what you're going to do, but you are sure that it's going to make you happy. So I started with just working and painting nonstop at home and knowing who I was, what I need, what's the medium I'm going to communicate my paintings and my art. And I started at home unfortunately, the time I started home, my husband started working at home, and it was fine for just like a year and a half, like two people working at home. His job is totally different than I do. I need my kind of like solitude, like each artist needs. And in some point in my life, I felt it in myself that I needed a space that really, really my time, because there were like a lot of shows coming, and I wanted to be prepared, have my space, put music on, get my energy involving. And at home, sometimes it's your space to relax. So, and I didn't want to mix these two things. And you have to know that as an artist, you're still working. So you don't want to work and relax in the same like a scenario. So like finding online, all these kind of like in San Francisco, there is a lot of communities of artists that if you checked and you research, you will find that they have like an open studio, or you can share a studio. So it was the time for me to research for that and make sure I have one. And I find one in this community. It's called the Shipyard artist community, which is in the Hunters Point area. It used to be from the Navy, and somebody like kind of like reinvented a little bit the building and made it as a studio for 150 artists. So I was lucky to rent that space there, and I started there, and every day going to studio, and it's wonderful because also it can work as your gallery a little bit, see how things go, things stay in the wall, which it's good sometimes to put your art in the wall to see how it works with the other paintings, which at home, obviously with the clutter, I couldn't do this.
Yeah, this is another really good point. And it's not only to just people, to artists, but it's to entrepreneurs. And now a lot of people are working at home. And I do think that there is a very fine line between this is my workspace and this is where I sleep and kind of recoup and don't think about work.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the luxury of having, a bigger home where they can have these separated out spaces. I like the idea. I wish they had something like that in the area where I live, because not only to have that separate space to go to, and the benefits, like you're saying, of being able to put it up on the wall and be able to have people come and view it and give you feedback. I like the idea of the community aspect of it. Like there are other artists that you can kind of tap into their thought processes too, and just the friendships, because being an artist and a writer is a very solo. It can be lonely, so it's nice to have that. Yeah. I'm going to have to come visit that, because I didn't know about it until I met you, that the Hunters Point Shipyard. That's really cool.
Exist a lot of things. Like, it's because we don't see that. Like, just go online and checking things, put like the some words in Google, like studio, some community art, you can find out things. And when you get in, if you can get in, because not everyone, but if you wait, in some point you will, it's good, because like having community sometimes helps you, like, oh, where I find this, where I find that resources,
Right.
where I can frame my art. Do you know any place that's kind of like affordable? Like these little things that it's some people with a lot of experience, they can tell you.
Yeah, I felt like I was doing a lot of that at the show. I was like telling everyone, this is the printer I use. This is, go use this place, do this online.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about
but you learn by yourself.
Yeah,
you learn by yourself.
I did, and it was a solo thing, but I'm happy to always share, which is what this whole podcast is about. So then we go and we do Superfine, which was super fun. As far as I'm concerned, that was like a really, really fun show. And I had signed up for it back in 2019. And then when COVID happened, and it was like almost 2.5 years later. And I was actually already moved on to doing so many other projects that I was like, oh, heck, I paid for this. I'm going to just go do it and see what this is about. And Bill, my husband and I just went for fun. Like we were like, this is just going to be fun. I probably won't sell anything. I'll just go and have fun. And I couldn't believe how much I actually sold at that show. And I know could see your booth was really buzzing. We were kind of kitty corner from each other, and you looked like you were selling a lot as well. It was such a fun vibe. And the guys at Superfine, James, they just the whole team there was Courtney, Alicia, Elisa, I'm saying her name wrong, were amazing. So much fun. But I want to ask you about your experience and how you prepared for the show. So why don't you start there?
So yes, Superfine, I found it online because I felt ready to do a show. I was like, my art is cohesive. I think I need to show because I don't know when we will be able to do it. Something happened. I need it. I need to be there. Yeah. So my feedback about the Superfine art fair was super positive. I didn't expect a thing. And I had like a lot of fun, and I had I built a lot of connections, and it was really positive. I certainly will do it again. Definitely.
See, I don't know if I would do it again, but only because I felt like, well, you live in San Francisco, so there was that logistical thing. Like I had to travel, get a hotel, and but I don't know. Maybe I will over time, but I felt like it was absolutely, the energy of it was really a fun. Like I can't say enough how good things about how my experience was there. But it was a lot of work. Like it wasn't like you just showed up and it was a party. Yes. I mean, I felt like I should not have worn heels. Like there was a lot of things that I would have done differently, but yeah. Okay. So how did you prepare for the show? Give me some tips on how you would prepare, because Superfine is a really big show, and there are other ones like this around the country. They do their show around the country as well. But like there are other ones like the other art fair. There's other shows, and these are different ways that you can go about making and selling your art. And so it's good to be prepared to go when you go do a show like this. So what were some of your tips on that, Marina?
Okay, yes. So for me, was my first art show as well. However, I have some experience in fashion industry about trade shows a little bit. So I kind of like knew a little what I will find there. And especially like it's a long show. So I prepare myself with you have to have your artwork ready. Like your artwork has to be cohesive, and that's what you need to work during like a year or a year and a half, whatever you need. And then when you have your artworks, then just the magic happens, which is the pre-planned show that I think it's important to know is knowing that if you are renting a booth, knowing what kind of booth, what size, which space you will have in the booth, so you can plan how many pieces you will put there. And even you can actually, like, if it's a booth of 10 by 10, just make a little space in your house and simulate the booth. And that's very important because you cannot just like go there and just put all the paintings on your wall. So knowing about this space in your booth, knowing what you're going to display with the space, it's very important too. And how, like, which artwork you're going to put it close to the other artwork, which balance colors, what I want to communicate. I want to communicate like my paintings are big or small, like you know what I mean? Like I have some small art, for example, I have some medium artworks and I have some big ones. So kind of like that, like play with what you have. So those are some of tips of pre-planned show. And then I will like suggest that you have to varnish and frame your works. Like framing, maybe it's not something that I will do to all my artworks, but varnishing them. I felt like I didn't have time to varnish some of them. Plus, sometimes you have to know which kind of varnish you are doing. And I was not very familiar with varnishes. And some of them, they can make your art either darker or lighter. So I didn't do it. And then I sold some pieces in the show and I had to varnish them later. And then I I just deliver it to my clients. But varnishing, it's because you want to present your final product there. So important varnishing, just make some tests before. Varnishing is a good thing. And then obviously,
well, let's talk a little bit more about that, because not all artwork needs to be varnished. I mean, that's
that's true.
Yeah, like you do a lot of collage work and mixed media type of work. So in that aspect, I would think that varnishing would be very helpful. So and there are a lot of different types of varnish. Some will yellow your painting, which you don't want, and some are very clear. So it's worth investing in a varnish that is probably a little bit more expensive, but it will give you the most professional look. So yeah, that's a very good point. And also have all your artwork pre-hung, like you're saying, either pre-hung with the hangers on the back or it's framed. I saw a lot of artists who did not do that, and they were struggling that day to hang their work. And because you only have a certain amount of time, like there's a little window of time where you get your window to hang your work. And I know I brought a lot of paintings and had a pretty big wall, and I had pre-planned in my computer. I had pre-laid out the drawings of what I wanted to do. Also did what you said, laid it out on the ground, exactly how I wanted it to look. But one thing I found when I was doing it, I love symmetry, and I had one big painting anchoring it, and I had a very symmetrical layout. But the walls were a little crooked because they're temporary walls. So the whole time of the show, I was like, it was kind of driving the OCD in me kind of crazy that I wasn't absolutely perfect. But I honestly don't think anybody noticed that but me.
It was perfect. You have to be prepared for these things. Like I literally like imagine my wall different, and it's because it was not as they taught me. So I just figure out, and you just have to go with the flow of like figuring out things.
Yeah, right.
As an artist, we figure out everything.
Exactly. We are solution oriented. We are all about the solution. Yes. Yeah, except I brought my poor husband to hang everything, and like literally hung it and then rehung it because it was not perfect. That's how I am, just crazy like that. But also, the little bumpers on the back of the paintings, or even if you have like that putty, because I noticed my wall was kind of in a pretty traffic area. So like there was just so much movement. There were so many people that those little bumpers were really great to kind of help stick them and keep the painting straight to the wall. Oh, you did that too?
Some of them.
Yeah. Especially like the bigger ones wanted to move a lot. So
your booth looked great. Like I think it's just like you want it perfect because you put so much energy to it. Right. And I was like a maniac. Like, this painting is not quite right here, but then you see in the pictures, it is fine.
Yeah. Okay, what else are yours? Give us some more of your tips. These are great. I love them.
So I have some tips about, probably this everyone knows, but it's just the promotional side of it, which is like you have to have your business cards ready, and a lot of them. I made a little bit.
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, it's like 500. Fine, you will use them later. It's okay. And promotional like postcards, if you are into that, like make a lot of them. And it's just you don't want to be short on them. And this is something that people love to take home. And if you want to also, like, I don't know, make little prints, something that you want to sell, just do it too. Make some prints, go to your printer shop, you have clothes, and make some quality prints, because in some of the shows, especially Superfine art show, they are willing to pay a little bit more for prints. So just price them a little bit higher than you expect. Yeah.
I did. I had prints, but mine are giclée. So mine are museum quality that I brought with me. And I thought, I'm way over printing this. Like it was the biggest print order I'd ever placed with my printer. but I couldn't believe I sold out of certain sizes. The 11 by 14 sold out for me, and I had a lot of them. And then even some of my larger ones did as well. So that was something for me. I could have prepared a little bit better for the, like, if you're selling something 16 by 20 or 18 by 24, like a really big print, make sure that you get the cardboard backing and the clear sleeves to go over them, because people will want to, flip through it. And I was kind of maniac about that. But going back to the cards, I used to produce a calendar every year, and with some of the leftover years that I had, I cut out the illustrations, and on the back, I just put a sticker with my info on it. And I probably had 500 of those. They were all gone. They were all gone. People took them, and there were little pieces of art. So it was kind of cool that people were able to take a little piece of my artwork home. And hopefully, I've gotten some pictures since the show of people, tagging me in it, like what they've done with those little cards. Like, it was really cute. Yeah. So yeah, the business card thing. And I literally went down to nothing. Also, I had made stickers, my Art Makes You Happy stickers. And I was out of those as well. I gave those to everybody who bought a piece. So little giveaways.
I love your prints. Like, it's literally like you have to prepare them, like little sticker, little, like, also like the certificate of authenticity. Then and then a little card, like those little like promotional materials that you put in, it matters a lot. And even also, like, if you can have like a mat board, like, like a framing mat,
right.
Like,
yeah, the
like little things.
That was
cardboard.
Yeah, especially on the big prints, because the big prints will get bent if you don't have that. So
it's just because people some don't know how to frame it, and it's easy for them, make it easy, and then you can price it a little bit like higher, and it's like fine.
Right.
Like, people are there because they want to buy art, especially in Superfine. They paid they're 20, 30, or I'm not sure how much it costs, like, to get in, but they are ready to buy. So that's good.
And they did such a great job promoting it. Alex and James, it was packed, like every day. It was packed with people, great music. There were, places next door where you could get cocktails. And I mean, the vibe was so fun. I felt like I was at like a nightclub especially after being 2 years in our homes. It was like, oh my gosh, there's a world out here. And people are super happy because it's art, and it's fun, and everybody's out there. And which brings me to another point. Like, I was just so happy to be there regardless of what was selling. And I think the energy that you put out when you were selling your art is what it's an energy exchange. So artwork is, a piece of your soul that you put into it when you are creating this piece. And they buy, what people say, they buy the person behind the brand. So if they like you and they're talking to you and you're telling them the whole story behind I love the stories behind your paintings, and mine had a whole story behind it too. And people get engaged, I know. They feel like they're part of something, and they can bring it home, and they're like, oh yeah, I met the artist, and this was the story about this painting, and this is why I like it, and look at this little detail. I would never have known that. It didn't tell me, all of these little things that go into when you're selling something. If you love what you do, then sell it like you love like you do. Because I saw some artists there who had gorgeous artwork who were so not approachable, and they were not selling anything because they were intimidating, frankly. I mean,
it's not easy. Like, it's not easy to be an artist and be a salesperson. Like no, not salesperson, but you know what I mean. But people are going to invest on you through the art. So you need to explain a story.
Right. They go there. They are art supporters. They paid money to come in to support artists. So they want to support you. So give them a reason to support you. You know what I mean?
Yes. And you have to even if you're not a very talkative person, just make an effort, because obviously after 4 days, so many hours, we are getting tired, and we talk sometimes with people that we know that they will not buy anything, but who knows, maybe they come back, and then you make a big sale, which it happened to me, talking like with people, and I know they were not ready to buy anything, and surprisingly later they come, some of them. So put energy a little bit, even if you are like so tired or you just want to like walk out. But yes, because this is a show of 4 days, then you have all the time of the world to relax. It's just push yourself a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what really helped me was because of the screenplay that I've written, a lot of the paintings that I had there were storyboards. So I actually had a full story of these paintings.
Mm.
And so it was, instead of like selling, I was just sharing the story of where these came from and what the story was, what the characters were doing. So if you know the point of view of your art, just go there. Like, you don't have to talk about yourself, just talk about the point of talk about the art. Like, why did you create that piece of art? And why is it meaningful? What's the story behind it? That's what people really want to hear, and then you'll just by default end up talking about them or yourself, or but just yeah, that positive, uplifting energy is what people are drawn to, I think. And just try not to be, and like, be colorful, wear colorful clothes, like be the artist you are, Yeah.
It's true. It's like, I put also, like, in my pre-planning show, you have to know what you're going to wear because you want to be confident. Like, sometimes a little bit of color makes you more confident if you are not a talkative person or you are intimidating. Like, okay, yes, wear comfortable clothes too. Like, you don't try to impress anyone, because then you'll get like, like, you're going to start just,
it's concrete, and you're standing on concrete for 10 hours.
Oh my God.
That's kind of what did me. And I had to even rethink my Doc Martens, which are some of my comfortable shoes. I was just like, I need some like sneakers. I need some tennis shoes right now.
Yeah.
So
and sneakers are so cool too. So just be yourself. Just just pre-plan your outfits, because it's important, because it's what you show to the audience. Like, they see you art, and it's like, this is a cohesive way. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So do you have any other tips for us on the show? Like, any follow-up tips?
I have like some another tips, like, like, for example, I encourage people just to relax in the show. And as you say, people love to just hear what you have to say about your art. So just talk, just be yourself. And if you can scan people, because you're going to spend so much energy there, if you can scan people that, if they're really interested or just are there just because they want to be polite, just be mindful. You don't have to talk to everyone the same way. You can just, I don't know. I just feel like I had to skip some people in order to get my sales going or get the attention of some people that are really interested. So I don't know, be like physically just prepare about this, because sometimes Mari, your booth was packed, and I don't know if you talk to everyone, but it's impossible. It's impossible to talk to everyone. So just scan who is very interested, even like just say hi. I was like, like, I want to talk to you about my art, just because some people are very shy, but they really feel in their eyes, they want to know what it is. So just scan the faces. And this, I have another tip that because we're going to be trapped like happily trapped in this space, just be we have to be aware about our neighbors. So I had you as a neighbor a little bit far, but enough that I saw you. So just be friendly and happy with your neighbors, because they will save your butt. Like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. So can you just watch my booth just a little bit? This happens. So it's good to be friendly, be positive, then you can rest when you get home. And then I have another little tips for post-show, which probably everyone felt like. It's not post-show, but when you have to wrap up all your stuff. Do you remember, like, wrapping up 8 o'clock? Yeah,
everybody was breaking down. Like, I know. There was like, whoa, everybody's breaking down. And I'm like, I'm waiting till the time I'm supposed to. I'm a rule player. I will go by the rules.
But, yes, even if like there is not people, but just be prepared. It's 6 o'clock. Let's wrap up, and you have to get all your materials, and you want to wrap up your art, even if the show is over, nicely. So be mindful
Mm-hmm.
if your artworks are oils, be mindful that like bubble wrap sometimes is not
Mm-hmm.
great, but maybe for just like a day will be fine. Otherwise, use some kind of cloth, something fast, something that doesn't make you like stay in that place wrapping up for like 10 hours, because we love our pieces, right? So you don't want to like because it's a rush time, you don't want to just like packing them so fast and then kind of like something happens. So be mindful about what's your wrapping materials. Get them ready, even if you have to buy like or create like a little bags or sleeves, so you just put the artwork inside. So be prepared about that. Be prepared if you need help. Call your friend, call your mom, call somebody. Can you meet me and help me? Because it's good. It's like you will have to like just hold all those things and transportate all those things, and you need your hands. So I think this is good. And when you get in the studio, make sure some of those paintings that you don't want to like keep them for days in a bubble wrap paper or bubble wrap plastic wrap, they're like air it out, remove them and hang it again.
So are
because
are
sometimes
your
it's like,
paintings oils? Because I don't, I
so
have,
yeah.
you have oils. So yeah, that's a whole nother animal when they have that texture to them. Um, I did, like you said, I used butcher paper. So I just had like a big roll of butcher paper, which I use even when I'm packing and
Nice.
shipping other things. It was one of the best investments I learned from my printer years ago. I think I've had this roll for a few years, and
Wow.
it was a nice way to wrap everything up, and I kind of saved everything from when I brought it there. But I want to say one thing about, I'm going to go back a little bit about, because I just remembered something. Ellen, I can't think of her last name. I'll put it in the show notes, but she was the artist all the way at the very end. And she had this gorgeous, bright pink, colorful painting, and it was huge.
Oh
And I
yes.
was at the other end who also had a really huge painting, but mine was framed, and it was so difficult to bring that painting because it's like 5 feet by 7 feet. It was huge. And I had to wrap it. I had it like wrapped in a quilt and all kinds of stuff. And
Oh
when I
yes,
saw her
yes, to
painting,
protect it.
I went down and I looked at her painting, which was gorgeous. I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. She didn't frame this. It was just, she had it just nailed to the wall, or tacked up against the wall. And then when she was done, she just had to roll it up and it
Roll
was
it up.
done.
I saw that.
I
Mm-hmm.
was like, if I ever do a show again and I have a huge painting, I will not bring it framed like that, because it just worked, because I work in acrylics, and I believe hers was acrylic as well. So it was kind of even a whole cool vibe the way she had it hung like
Mm-hmm.
that.
I saw, yeah.
Didn't you think that was, I thought
It's,
that was brilliant. I saw people
I
coming with their
thought,
paintings that were not even framed, and they were framing them. They were stretching and the frame onto the canvas onto the frame the day they were hanging it, which I thought that was just, that would have stressed me out beyond
yeah,
anything.
no, but I think it was brilliant idea. I think it gives a contrast, or more like a raw thing. Like I couldn't
Yeah,
see that painting in the studio and she painting them. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like if it's a big painting, yeah, if you have a nice like canvas that's like not stretched, but it's nice to see how a painter did it. And yes, and then you can just like stretch it, like frame it, and it is the client wants it. But I
Because
think it's
usually a
good too.
client, when they buy a painting that big, is going to want to frame it in their own frame that matches the decor. So it's kind of a waste that you already did this really elaborate frame job to it. I don't know. It has to be the right piece of artwork, but I just remember looking at that going, oh my God, I would totally do that the next
Yeah.
time if I ever do this again.
No, it's true that you can get some ideas from another artist. Like it's great. Like some people, for example, made some coasters, like to put like, your drinks on top, like as a business card. So it's a great idea. Like
Yeah,
all these
yeah.
materials and all these ideas you can see. So it's very interesting. For me, it was very interesting. It was like a visual explosion of things. It was
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I mean, it's an expensive endeavor if you are an artist and you want to do that. So I think you have to really think about those things, because in the booth is a couple $1,000s. And then for me, like I had a hotel room for 6 days. So like I recouped that, but you have to really think about that when you sign up to do these kind of venues. And that to really, like you were saying earlier on, to have a really cohesive collection, a body of work that makes sense to do a show like this. Anyway, I think that's otherwise, because you don't want to do this huge investment and then you're out money. It's just that kind of is a tough pill. But I suppose that happens.
Yeah, sometimes even like close friends, family, this is the first ones that you show the artwork, right? So you just ask them what they think, what they will pay for it. Like you start with this, and then your circle of friends start growing, and you start having clients and customers. But it's definitely like just start with the small thing, like ask people around you. Then you will get into the system, and then your work will expand by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a very cohesive art, like body of work, it will happen.
Right.
And also
right.
you have to know how much you will like price them. That's another topic that it's not easy for artists to price our work, but we have to be ready to do. And sometimes we don't want to even talk about, but we have to maybe like ask also like friends and see if that artwork, you have a piece that's very special, maybe that piece you want to like price it higher, because also like it's being like exhibited in different places. Another one's like price a little bit lower because they're smaller, like, and also have some different range of pricing for your customers. So there's a lot of things that artists we have to deal with.
Right. I mean, and I think that there's like a different mindsets for artists. There's different artists that want to just strictly be a gallery artist. And that's a whole nother,
oh my God,
that's another world. And if you were kind of straddling the line of gallery / commercial / you're doing this for yourself, that's kind of the world that I live in. Then prints are really where you're going to make up a lot of your income. I was talking to Mark Bryan, who's like one of the most phenomenal artists I've ever had the opportunity to meet and interview, and his work is so detailed. And he's like, oh, Mari, you never make your money back on the big paintings that you do, because there's so much time and thought that goes into creating those things. But, he has his beautiful prints or giclées that you can purchase and things like that. He does sell his originals too, but, to be able to take that one piece, that one item, and like you said, be able to put it onto other products or to diversify it so that you can kind of give it a little bit more longevity is more of the commercial way of thinking of how you can make money with your art. And, the actual painting sometimes takes so much time. It's hard to even price them, like you're saying.
Oh my God, yes. And for example, your artworks are so detailed. I have some that have some detail and so much story behind. It's hard. Then it's just the pricing. But you have to price it in a way that you're happy that, okay, somebody's going to pay this amount. Right, I'm happy. You have to feel that.
You have to feel like, okay, I'm going to let go of my baby, and I feel good that I let go at this price.
Yes,
I mean, yes. I sold a couple originals and I was really struggling with it. Like I didn't want to. I was like the price was what the price was, but I was like, I got to let this go. There's that part of being the artist too, where we have to let our art go. It's like, once you create it,
I agree.
It's meant to go out into the world, and then you're on to the next thing. But it can be hard to let our little children go.
I know, you just enjoy a little bit, have it in front of you for a couple months, and then it will go, and you will feel fine, because we have to evolve, and that's part of it. Right. Let it go. Yeah. It's part of it. It's beautiful, I think.
Yeah. It's meant to go out into the world, of course. Yes. Well, Marina, this was so helpful. Do you have any last tidbit of advice for that artist starting out and making a go for it that you have any?
I'm just saying, I hope I with my tips or explanations and information, I can, somebody can take them and do something with it. And and another thing I want to say is, I know these art shows are really expensive, but there is a little art show sometimes, I don't know, in San Francisco, there's little things that new young artists can do, and they're not expensive too much. So yeah, they can look to those and start with it, because the most important is having feedback and that positivity and energy. Because I kind of internally, when I did that show, I felt like I'm ready. It was just a powerful moment that you feel so good. So it's also for your confidence as an artist. Sometimes we are in the darkness in our cave painting, and we need that. We need the people around. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually really blown away by the feedback. I had not expected it. I literally paint with my 2 cats. So I didn't, and my husband who's like seen every crazy project I've ever done. So to really hear people who don't know me give honest opinions about my work was very eye-opening and very helpful as an artist to know, what's working and what wasn't working. Because there, also were things that maybe I noticed didn't get the response. So that's helpful too. All of it's good information, and to try and not take it so personally, because we're evolving and we're growing. And, I think it was Matisse that said that creativity takes courage, and it really does, because creating it is one thing, putting it out there for all these people to come by and have an opinion on is a whole nother world. And you have to kind of, just be open to, being okay with somebody doesn't like something. That's all right too,
Oh yeah. And it's good that I think our art, it's not for everyone, which is good. You don't want your art to be for everyone. You don't want to be the target art, you want your art to be specific for those people, or like the majority of people that can understand it. It's good. You have your target market, you have your clients. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't have to like everyone, and it's still fine.
Yeah, it is true. And oh gosh, I could talk about this forever, but I don't want to go too long, but we'll have to do an episode number 2. I want to ask you one last question before we wrap this up. I love the quirkiness and the surrealism in your story and the stories and things behind your character. You're really thinking through the characters that you're painting, not characters or imagery that you're painting.
Yeah, no.
But the mask, it's kind of like a mask with the eyes, and it shows up a lot throughout your artwork. Is there any significance behind that?
Yeah, so that mask, which lately I put a name of it, ojo, which is eye in Spanish, ojo, ojo. It means like so it's a mask in your eyes that means like you see through the eyes of the mind, instead of like you see through the eyes of the consciousness, to the intention, instead of like just looking. We just look things sometimes that we don't see. So, and this mask, you can see in my artwork, sometimes this mask is just flying around, because I come from another country. It feels like I'm around everywhere. And when I think about right now, I think about what my parents are doing in another timing right now. So it's kind of like the freedom of being aware of now and everywhere. And I don't know, it's just a philosophy of living.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I asked you this at the end of this podcast, because this is something I could totally go down that rabbit hole with you.
No worries. You like, this is like, I don't know, just like a little like dessert.
Oh, it is dessert.
For the podcast.
It is dessert. And that's the other saying of yours that I love, that art is like champagne. It tickles my brain.
It does, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, especially yours. Yours is so fun and happy. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, Marina, this was fantastic. I think I might even have to write a blog post to go with this, because the tips were so good. And I really appreciate you sharing all your advice and your wonderful story. And I just can't wait to share this episode with everyone. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Mari. It was really good. I hope I can help with that. And yeah, anytime I'm available to talk about art.
I love that. I love it. Awesome.